For more on the reaction in Washington this morning, we want to get over to CNBC's Megan Cassella. Megan, obviously these attacks happened last night just after 8 p.m. East Coast time, but we've been watching closely all night, and there has been plenty of reaction.
Plenty of reaction, Becky, that's right. And as you guys were just saying, the White House was emphasizing as these attacks were unfolding overnight that the U.S. was not involved and that it was not providing assistance. Secretary of State Marco Rubio had the first official reaction from the administration saying that Israel took unilateral action against Iran. And he went on to say that, quote, "We are not involved in strikes against Iran and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region." Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. And he ends with this: "Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel." But the decision to move forward with the attacks did appear to be a pretty significant break with the administration, which has been negotiating a nuclear deal, sort of a more peace deal to try to acknowledge Israel's and Iran's nuclear capabilities. So just earlier on Thursday, the president had told reporters that he would much prefer the friendlier path to an agreement, and the next round of those meetings was set for Saturday. But Iran not appearing to see the daylight between the U.S. and Israel on this. Iran's foreign minister saying that Israel's aggressive actions could not have happened without the coordination and approval of the United States. And therefore, he said, the U.S. government is also responsible for the dangerous consequences of these actions. Now, that comes as Israel and the region are bracing for Iran to retaliate today and after, as you guys mentioned, President Trump began voluntary departures for non-essential staff and families from the region earlier this week. And guys, NBC News reported that the president's national security team did monitor these strikes in real time from the Situation Room. And we know from the president's schedule for today that he'll be back in the Situation Room with his security team later this morning around 11 a.m. Guys.
Megan, the one thing I would say is that the Truth Social post that the president just put up in the last few minutes do less to kind of shine or to illustrate the daylight between the United States and Israel. If anything, it sounds like he is much more closely allied with them and saying that the United States is going to send more military help to defend Israel.
That's right. I think the distinction that we've been starting to see emerge so far, and I think this comes out in the Post as well, and with what Secretary of State Rubio said, is that they were saying they were not involved in these original attacks. And I know you guys were talking about the question of whether the president knew beforehand. There are multiple reports that he knew this was at least very likely to be coming soon. NBC News and I have not confirmed that independently with the White House. But earlier Thursday, the president did say that while he wouldn't call it imminent, he thought something was very likely here. But the distinction is between whether the U.S. was helping with this initial round of attacks and now whether they'll help with the continuing rounds and with the ongoing defense as well. U.S. obviously bracing for this retaliation and now saying that they are steadfast really in their support for Israel. We're seeing a lot of reaction from Capitol Hill and Republicans saying, but really on both sides saying that, while there might be unnecessary violence now in the region, they stand by Israel and Israel's right to defend itself as well.